Check 1, 2. All right, is that better? Can you hear me now? All right, how's the sound now? There we go. I'm going to keep on talking, guys. If you can hear me now, go ahead and say so. According to what I have in my software, it says that the microphone is now working. So if that happens to change, just let me know. But I am getting feedback that it's working. Excellent. All right, then let's continue. Just in time. There's the opening bell. There you go. Check out Torchlight taking off. We could actually see this pull back at the open, some of that profit taking from what we saw during the pre-market hours. So if we do happen to red candle here, and it's a fairly deep red candle, we could turn things back around from there. I'm going to drop down to the 5-minute chart for market open here. There we go. So we can see a little bit more what's going on. You can see the way that it was trading in the pre-market hours. Right off the bat, we have over 23, closer to 24 million shares traded just in the first minute of market open on this one. We'll see how we push up against resistance. There's that candle again, right up around that 925 level or so. And if we break that resistance, we can keep on going. We can keep on climbing up to this next double top that we have around here at about 974. So we still haven't quite really broken resistance in a significant way that we're going to see it really push above. Oh, there it goes. All right, I would call that significantly above these now. Excellent. So now let's watch around that 975. You can see the level 2s with the price moving. I mean, it's moving quick. This is when it's this high up. If we break that, then we have some more room to run up above 975. If we fail to break it, then we'll see this thing sell off. Right now, we're seeing a large wick form at the top of this, and we'll see where this candle closes at within the first 5 minutes of trading. I want to take a look at LKCO quickly. All right, decent volume to start the day here. Let's see how it compares. Oh, that's quite a bit of volume compared to what we had over Friday. So lots of excitement. We could see a decent amount of conviction in this. If we take a look at the RSI, and this is on the 5-minute chart that we're looking at, it looks like we peaked maybe a little bit over 50 just before the market opened. Now that the market's open, it's actually reporting a little bit bearish, and we can see that sort of drop here. So let's zoom out a little bit further and see what sort of strength that we have. It's a little bit of overbought, still bullish for the most part. Yeah, so it looks like it's red candling now. Just switching over a little bit. I have a Patreon member who is quite bullish on LKCO and has really liked the sort of performance that they've put out recently. I believe that there was litigation against them, and it's not one that I follow personally, but I believe that they've overcome. Maybe it was a delisting status that they were looking for this one, and then we've seen a lot of price action since then. We'll take just a quick look at the daily chart. There we go. So we actually have a gap up, and it's been rather strong. He mentioned it in the Discord, probably I would say end of May, early June, before we saw this sort of activity. And he mentioned that he's on holiday recently, and he's like, "Hey, this is it. This is a really good way to go into the holiday by looking at what we have on the daily chart." And if you look at it, we got a buy signal back here on the MACD, really good RSI, moving up into the overbought territory. And we're not yet getting that sell signal from the MACD when we look at this moving forward. We have a positive slope for the 200-period EMA, and we're still trading up above it. We have a lot of bullish signals that are going on here. Best thing is that we're trading above these previous highs that we've had after this big sell-off that we had. What's that price? $3.86. Let's look at Anavex Life, see how things are going for that one. After this, I'm going to get into AMC and see how they were doing. I saw that they were at like $62 in the pre-market at one point in time. Here we have a rather large gap up, but the volumes are tapering off. That could be a sign that this is going to turn back around on us. Again, not one that I track, but it's one that's having a lot of price action recently. So if you're able to capitalize on something like this, awesome. Analyst estimates, we're up above the low. We're below the average, and there's 5 analysts covering this. So during these live streams, I mostly look at WEBULL to stay away from a lot of screen switching. but tip ranks would be another good place to take a look. All right. Thank you guys for all your feedback about the sound, by the way. I really appreciate it. Good morning, Angelito. Calla long term and watch Arrival. All right. Arrival is trading down near support. We had the little death cross here, but when you look at this, we have the 50 period moving average moving back up towards the 200 period moving average. That can be a good thing for us. We've had really decent volume recently, and if you believe that price follows volume, we could see this thing really hold here at a sort of support level up to resistance. That's getting really narrow range on us. Let's see what news goes with Arrival right now. Unusual options activity. That was 2 days ago. It's back to its rumors and headlines. Big moves from yesterday. A warrant redemption. Well, that explains why we see the sell-off that we have. That warrant redemption that we can have will be a little bit of share dilution. So people trade in their warrants and pay usually, I think it's like $11.50 or so on top of what they have. And then you get these big drops in the price like you have here. So that warrant redemption news, this could be something that as we kind of get over that little bit of share dilution, and we could see that price turn back around. And it is good that we haven't dropped below some of these lows that we saw when it was trading sideways for a while. So in the short term, at least, I expect some recovery from Arrival moving forward. All right, let's take a look at AMC. There we go. This is a wonderful looking chart that we have here for AMC. Battle's still ongoing, and it doesn't look like the strength has moved out of this yet, that we have this nice little pennant formation coming out where we have the bulls or the apes, I guess, that, depending on what camp you fall in, holding this bottom line, moving us upward, and sort of less so. It's not quite symmetric as far as pennants go. So it's more towards the upside. So this is a nice bullish pennant that we have. And it is possible that we could break to the upside on this one in the relative near future. Let's look intraday. All right, Angelito, I see what you say about Cal. I'll get to that in just a moment. All right. So I'm just taking in what I see on the chart right now. Looks like Thursday's trading day, but brought a lot of strength back to it. Friday, the overall market bias was a little bit rough on Friday. And I was a little bit absent from the markets on Friday. For some of you know who have been following my channel, that I was getting married this past weekend. Friday, I had a family come into town. And so I took a day off from the markets. And I stopped watching the market for one regular trading day. And the thing just tanks. And I was waiting for buying opportunities for different stocks to come out. And that was a day, I missed out on what I think were some good deals as we saw some of the securities sell off. Looking at AMC, what we have here is that what looks like we're still trading sort of within these highs and lows. So we have a little bit of a range forming up with the way that it is trading. If you look over the past few days, we're still moving upward. Let's move over this way a little bit. So slow upward climb that we have here. The prices haven't given up. It looks like the volumes are still upholding pretty well, that they're not as strong as they were before, but we still have momentum going in AMC. And what was that peak? Was it 77.26? There we go. Overcoming that peak would be the next big milestone that we have. Actually, right now, double top resist, it looks like we're reluctant to have it go up above $65 per share. So that looks like the big number for us to beat with AMC before we see the next jump up in price. I'm going to jump down to the 5-minute chart. All right, well, we definitely had a decent open, and it looks like we have a double bottom here. We could find some support right around 61.30. And look at that price wall. Oh man, it just jumped. When stocks are moving quick like this, it's hard to point out and really talk about it as they go along in the order books that you look at like this. But it looks like, if I can get my cursor there, looks like right around like $62 per share is where we're going to battle over that. And we have a lot of sell side pressure in the order books that we have here. And at the moment, we don't have a lot of buy side pressure there to balance it. So this could really get held up for us right around probably the top of this candle, if I had to guess. It looks like that $62 mark for AMC. All right, I said that I would take a look at Kala for you, or Kala. I don't know how to pronounce that. Kala. There we go. Pharmaceuticals. These are so tricky whenever you're talking about pharmaceutical stocks. So let me see. Focus on developed commercialization therapeutics through nanoparticle based. Okay. Ooh, eye diseases. All right. All right. So the company has completed phase 3 clinical trials. So getting through phase 3, I believe that after that, you can really look forward to like an FDA approval pending on that. So some of this price drop could be that we had some news recently that things did not go as well, or that we didn't have a strong of support for that. I'll check out the news in just a moment. I want to take a look at the price action. It looks like I have looked at this one before because I see a little trend line here. So we actually haven't returned back to it on this previous high that we've had. And now we're trading below the 50-day moving average. So now that's going to act as resistance for us, but it is staying up above this bottom that we have so far. Looks like right on $5. So that could be a psychological support level for us going forward. So we don't want to break 5, because even going all the way back here, we're still hitting 5. After that, the next strong support that we get is like 355. So another, I mean, just significantly down from where it would be at $5. So depending on the outlook for this, that'd be something to consider. Inducement grant under NASDAQ listing rule. I'd have to read up about that. Nice, okay. Let's read up a little bit about this, see if it tells us anything good. Here, I'll bring it over where you guys can see. There we go. All right, what are we looking at? It looks like we might have a PR, or like a press release here. Yeah, Business Wire. Announced today the company granted non-statutory stock options to new employees as okay. So if it's offering stock options to new employees, that's something that when they do, if those employees do in fact sell, then that can be dumping shares onto the market. And stock options to purchase up to, okay, kind of stock 5 new employees. That can cause share dilution. That can cause it to drop. Let me see. The option awards have an exercise price of 5 on a separate share. Okay, so that could explain why we're seeing some of the drop off. The options have a 10-year term, invest over 4 years, 25%, the original numbers. Okay, so I was wondering, because when I was reading the different headlines, it sounds like the news that we're having out for the company itself, the news actually does sound pretty good. But when you compensate your employees with options, that gives them the ability to potentially sell those options in the future in order to cash in on. Marshall J, do you remember me? Marshall, I'll be honest, not directly by name, but I'm glad that you're back, and you know, I look forward to working with you. You know, if you stick around for the channel, so it's great to have you here. So the Kala Pharmaceuticals that we have, like I said, the news all sounded pretty good. It sounds like they're moving forward with their trials, and like I said, the options activity that are the options to new employees could be something that would later cause issues. Palantir is one right now that does a lot of options compensations for their employees, and that's one of the big concerns and one of the things that actually holds them back a little price-wise. Here, I'll show you Palantir. So if you read a bear case, one thing that they'll talk about when you look at Palantir's price is the fact that they do such heavy compensation to their employees through stock options. And that's great for the employees, especially if they all have a very bullish outlook on their company, and that they really do believe in their company, that someday it's really going to pay off for them to cash in on these options. So that's something to think about. But what it does is it does dump shares on the market when you have those employees, when those lockup periods end, or when they fully vest or mature. So those are things that you want to watch out for. It's actually had a pretty decent run, and it has not, where we at, May 13th-ish? Yeah, right around there is where we hit bottom with a lot of different securities, especially in the high growth area. And we've gone up since then. sort of entered a different slope. We started leveled off a little bit, but I think we still have some pretty good price action going for Palantir. I think they're going to be huge over time, and I think that they were very wise to switch there from being having such a high entry fee for businesses, in that only the biggest of businesses could really even afford to go with their products and services. That now that they have sort of a free to enter and then subscription based model over time, where they get more and more people that see the improvements that are the ways that their businesses can benefit from the big data analytics and the AI that Palantir uses. And I think that that's going to bring in more adoption over time. And it also, because it does lower the bar for entry, and it really does allow people to see just how much they can benefit from Palantir as a company. All right. Well, Marshall, I'm glad that you're back after that stock break. Sometimes you need that that cool off period. I know that there's definitely been times during the big sell off that we had from February all the way until about the middle of May. There were times about midway through the day, I just kind of stepped back and I was like, I'm not looking at the market for the rest of the day. I'll come back to it tomorrow. Even though I know when I look at the companies and the ones that I have high convictions in, that it's a long time horizon, it's still hard to look at, such a big drop, if you will, in some of the stocks that we love the most. I mean, Palantir going up to $45 per share. I believe my initial position that I have, I sold out some of it when we went up over $40 per share. And I've since loaded up in this area where you see it trading somewhat sideways overall for a while. But while we were watching that happen, man, that was difficult to watch. All right, I said that I wanted to take a look at Bitcoin. I also want to see some of the other things that are here. All right, so for Bitcoin, there we go. All right, so when I looked at it this morning, it was trading around 32,000. Now it looks like it's getting close to that 33,000. And if I adjust this just a little bit, because right now what we're looking at is the EMA, the exponential moving average versus the simple moving average. And if I adjust this to be the 200 period, so let me go to style. I'll turn that one on, change that to 200. There we go. So the death cross, if you've been following Bitcoin at all, this is what they were talking about, where the 50 period simple moving average crosses the 200 period simple moving average. In this case, that period is 1 day because we're looking at the daily chart. So this could be a signal for us that we're about to see a bearish turn for things. And well, that so far has been what's happening. And it's honestly, it's not as bad as it could be because we're still holding support. We haven't dropped that back down below. Let me see where this candle's bottom is. Low of this one, 31,696. And honestly, that's still quite near $32,000. That's what, like a percent or something off of being that $32,000 mark. And when the candle happened to close, well, it's not quite closed yet because this day is still forming up, but we're still happening to be above that from where the stock opened today. And I don't know, really, it's going to be news dependent. That's the thing. If we get, I mentioned my Patreon that we haven't seen maximum fear in my opinion, and you'll know when we see max fear if it's going to happen at all during this time, because we will break this $29,000 low that we have over here, and then you know that we've hit peak fear, and you'll see Bitcoin's price, just turn to garbage for a little bit of time down to our next support level, which what we have. Sort of that weak support, it looks like. Zoom in a little bit there. There we go. Last sideways trade that we had, sort of seeing a little bit of support level right around 22,000. If we go down and tag that value, I think that we're going to see a huge rebound back up to the upside. Bitcoin, there's so much institutional buying. And in my video I recorded this morning, I didn't get a chance to get it out there yet. I need to edit it and put it all together. And I hope by that time it's not too late. I wanted to make sure that was in for the live stream for you guys. But in it, I talk about the fact that there's an article that came out that says that retail traders are losing interest in cryptocurrencies, and they specify retail traders when they talk about it. They don't say that institutional investors are done. All of the background for big money and for business that is getting into the cryptocurrencies, that are loading up on Bitcoin and holding on to it and using it as sort of that store of value, all of that is still there. None of that big buying that we have is going anywhere, and that's something to really pay attention to. So what I think we're looking at here is a lot of noise. And if we do hit peak fear and there is selling for some of the remaining positions that are just holding on to it because it's still above 30,000, if they can get enough people to paper hand that this should happen to drop down even further, I think we're going to see a huge amount of ramp up and load up from people that are looking for, and institutions that are looking for positions in Bitcoin. So right now, moving into sort of a sell-off, maybe eventually even moving into more of an accumulation phase, and some people already are saying that we're moving into an accumulation phase. We'll see that. I think really we need to see it trade sideways, and that's pretty much what have been happening in a cryptocurrency sort of way, because it's still volatile compared to other securities that we would have. But this is actually not so bad for crypto. I mean, yeah, it's a fairly large range, but it's nothing that we haven't seen before. But I think right now, even though we've had a lot of sell-off from this this peak that I had right around between 41 and 42,000, we still haven't quite gotten below it. So we'll see. Watch the media. Watch for something really, really super negative outside of the China crackdown on cryptocurrencies. Some huge negative catalyst, and that makes everybody panic. And we just haven't seen that yet. We need a one, we'll call it uniting thing across all the media sources for them to really latch a hold of and really try and scare tactic everybody into just dumping their holdings on Bitcoin. And that'll be peak fear. And I just don't think that we've hit it. I don't think that they've found the right angle or the right story or the thing that's really big enough to cause that amount of FUD in order to make people really let go of this stuff and really to watch and sell off and watch the price tank. I believe that it could happen at any time. And, this is sort of prime time for that. Now, for people trading this, for me, I look at it more as a long-term investment because of my bullish stance on this. But for people trading this, you might not want that to happen. But I do believe that, much like they talk about inflation being transitory, I think that this short-term volatility is exactly what we're seeing. And once we get through this resting period, whether it takes a few weeks or it takes a few months, I think that we're really going to turn back around end of 2021. I think we're going to have a different story as we move into like September and October as the quarters change. It could even be sooner than that some amazing story comes out about this huge victory for all cryptocurrencies. Well, not all of them, all the big ones. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, I'm going to lump Cardano in there. I think they're doing really good things. And then I mentioned some other ones. Polygon I really like. Polkadot, the Uniswap token's pretty awesome as well. AMP is doing really well right now. We're going to have a few big ones stay around if there is a bubble, if it's going to crash, and then anything else is going to fall by the wayside besides the ones that actually do have a really strong utility to them in the crypto space. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Look at Torchlight, by the way, up at 70% right now. That's awesome. We'll get back to that. So Ethereum, it's currently right now coming down and just it tagged the 200 period. This is a simple moving average on the daily chart. Came down and tagged it. That could be a little bit of support for us. Still trading under $2,000. And I said that I would load up under 2,000. And I did go ahead and take more of a position under 2,000. And I even did it in my WEBULL account, which is only from the free stuff that I've gotten from the referrals through YouTube, through the people who've clicked the referral link. If you haven't, that is down in the description for my videos. So you can click the link, deposit $100, you get 2 free stocks from it. And it also gives me some free stocks in trade, or not in trade, I don't mean to say that, as well. So we both benefit. You get your free stuff, I get my free stuff, and the world continues to be a good place. So we have a sort of a support level from the 200-day simple moving average, and you can see we didn't come down and tag this 1731 that we had before. Our low price here today so far has been 1891, and we might continue to test that for the next little bit. If that support fails, then we move back to our next support level, this double bottom that we have over here, right around 15. Look at that, all the way back to 1370, all before that run up. But when we zoom out, that fall off that we've had recently that fall off that we've had recently doesn't look nearly as bad. As a matter of fact, I'd say overall the chart looks pretty good. And like I said, we could still hit peak fear. I think that we've had things to really cause uncertainty and doubt and given people reason to be fearful when you read the media headlines and stuff. But so far, I just don't think that we've hit the right story yet in order to make that happen. By the way, if you guys are looking for exposure to Bitcoin, this is Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And when you look at it, its price pretty much moves the way that Bitcoin's price moves. And so with Bitcoin being down right now, you can also see it being down right now, and you can get a fair amount of value coming out of investing in that. So this Grayscale Bitcoin Trust that we're looking at, this is another way without going through the crypto markets in order to get that exposure. You can go right through whatever regular stock trading platform that you have and also get exposure to Bitcoin that way. And the Ethereum Bitcoin, Grayscale Ethereum Bitcoin Trust is ETHE. Again, this is just another way that you can get exposure to Ethereum without investing directly in Ethereum, that they're the ones who manage their assets or assets under management for Ethereum will be done through Grayscale. And this is just in a way that you and anybody else who wants that exposure, such as like ETFs, such as when we look at like ARK Invest, who does invest in Grayscale Bitcoin. I think Grayscale Ethereum, but I have to look. But they definitely do for Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So in order to get that exposure, because they can't include cryptos in their ETFs right now, but they can include securities like these trusts, this is a way to get that exposure without trading directly in crypto. So you could use your regular trading account in order to get that sort of exposure. I mentioned Cardano, and WEBULL is getting better at showing these different stocks on here. I'm sorry, cryptocurrencies on here. And you can see that it just recently started tracking the prices. So over time, this is going to be a good place to look, but the daily chart doesn't really show us a lot that's of interest when we look at this. We can see that we were up right around $1.80 or so, and now we're down to about $1.32. This morning when I was looking at it, it's like $1.29. So we've had that sell-off, and if you look at the Spark lines, oh my goodness, Spark lines on CoinMarketCap, for example, you see that pretty much besides the stable coins that are tied to fiat currencies, all of the Spark lines look pretty much the same, that they're all selling off in the same way. So here, let's check it out. Nice. Awesome, PJ. Bitcoin, ETH, and Bitcoin Cash. Excellent. Yeah, look at these Spark lines that we have. Look how similar they are. And it's really easy to spot the stable coins when you look at them. Look at Tether. So tied to the US dollar. And then also same. Dogecoin, a little bit deeper than the rest of them for the sell-off. And I believe that this is, last 7 days. It's over a week-long period. Another stable coin, same stable coin. Again, a lot the same as we look down through. And so this is nice because it lets you know that what we're seeing right now is market-wide when we look at the cryptocurrencies. So for me, one of my favorites is Polygon. And Polygon is a layer 2 solution on the Ethereum blockchain that really helps with the scalability of, there we go, the scalability of Ethereum. There we go. And then it leverages the security that they get through the Ethereum blockchain itself. So when we look at this over the past few days, I mean, you can just, I'm sorry, this isn't days. We're looking at 30-minute blocks right here. And let me see. Here we're all the way back to the 15th of June when we look at this, and we can see the top coming out right around, gotta move it over a little bit, there we go. About $1.70, and it sold off recently down to $1.27, and this was up to like $2.20 at one point in time. And now it's essentially down to this, almost been cut in half. $1.10 would be cut in half from that high that it had. Let me see if it has all the highs on here. We may have even gone up over 220. I have to take a look. Yeah, they don't really track that well. Let's go over here. So the token that they use is called Matic, M-A-T-I-C. And they're switching over right here. Matic Network has announced they're rebranding to Polygon for more details. And so Polygon advertises themselves as the internet of blockchains. if you haven't read about it, you should totally check it out. It's one that I'm definitely bullish on, one that I think that until ETH 2.0 can come out at the very least and really give us that true proof of stake that we're looking for. And mind you, I still think that there'll still be a solution to the congestion and backups and high gas fees that we have with Ethereum. I think that their run is definitely far from over. Let's go to the trading view. Could you check out EVA? I researched the company and checked my price prediction. Nice, a 2x company. Marshall, I'll check that out in just a moment. Yeah, so check it out. I thought that they went up to about 260 a share. And then we had the sell-off. This is when all the cryptos were up, and then all the cryptos sold off. And then Mark Cuban's like, hey, I'm bullish on Polygon. Whoop, popped up to about $2.20. We have a wick that took us up to about $2.40 even. So let me zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see this better. There we go. So you can see the price action that it's had, and we're forming a nice little wedge pattern when we're looking at this. And I mean, it could really break either way, and it's going to depend on the overall crypto markets. And we saw the spark lines that show that everything that's happening right now with Polygon is everything that's happening with Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano. You name it, for all the major cryptocurrencies besides the stable coins, we're looking at the same, pretty much the same price action for every one of them. And really, once we pass through everything that we're going through with China and regulation and any sort of doubt that we're having, I think that we're going to see new highs come in for especially the big ones. And Polygon, I believe, was actually started by former Ethereum developers who decided to bring a little bit more scalability through proof of stake. And they are a little bit more centralized. They have fewer nodes that allows them to have their consensus algorithm run a little bit more smooth than what we would see on Ethereum, and you can trade for minimal to almost negligible fees when you're looking to trade on Polygon or Matic versus when you're trading directly on the Ethereum blockchain. All right, so let's check out EVA or AVA, however you want to say, AEVA. All right, just a daily chart so I can get an overall view of what's going on here. All right, so looking at the volume, somewhat lower volume, check out that volume spike that we have there. Absolutely enormous volume buying into this thing, and the price hardly moved anywhere. Instead, we hit sort of a double top resist, if you will, between these 2 days that we saw. Let's zoom in a little. High price off the green candle, 1161, 1159. So right around 1160. We'll take the average between the two of them. So 1160 got stuck, and then it also got stuck right around the top of this 200-day moving average that we're looking at. What, 1218 it says there, and that's about even with what's here, 1247, 1222. It's nice to see the volume ramp up. The price action does not actually reflect the volume, at least not as much as I think that it should be. So let's take a look at the news on it. It's part of the Catalyst Watch on Seeking Alpha. Analyst estimates. Well, according to analyst estimates, who was this? This was Marshall who brought this up. Getting up to just the average is almost 2x from its current price that it's at here. And this is covered by 5 analysts. And we have 2 of them saying strong buys. We have 3 of them calling it a buy rating. If it were up to make it up to that high price, that $30 case that we have here, then we're looking closer to 3x. That'd actually be 10%, about 10% up above from its current price. A little bit less than that, or more than that when we check it out. So let's go back here. So the price targets look good. Look like we already had the death cross happen back here. Really what we want to see, we're actually seeing lots of good things here. Strong run up, tapering there, had a double bottom. They're about $10 a share. All right, well, looking at this, looks like it's a SPAC deal when we look at this one with that price action right around $10. So we probably got the announcement, sold off with the rest of SPAC and high growth, and now it's finally recovering. And we could actually be bound between the 200 period and the 50 period. So this continue to keep on bouncing. We'll see what happens as today shapes up. A lot of the volume that we saw yesterday, 8 million shares versus today of 159,000. It'll be interesting to see what happens. What's the overall market bias looking like here? Early dip for the NASDAQ. Dow Jones went straight up, and then S&P looks like a little dip and then tick off again. So market's looking all right so far. Yeah, when we see this 50 period start turning back up towards the 200 period, that could be a bullish sign for us. Of course, we want to break this resistance that we have right here just above the $12 mark. And what else do we have? We have room up to about 1280. So we're across that little top there, but we're across this bottom here. And what do they do? Okay, yeah, it was a SPAC. Frequency modulated continuous wave sensing technologies. Okay. A 4D LiDAR on a chip. Excellent. All right, so it's a LiDAR play. Wonderful. Big one there still, Luminar, Velodyne, and I don't know if they're direct competitors when we look at Ava Technologies. But it'd be interesting to see how they compare to their peers and how they're trading in accordance with their peers. So if you look at like the price to sales for Luminar or Velodyne or who else, Microvision's also out there. If you look and see how they're trading against them, you know, what sort of multiples they're trading at, and if they're trading at a cheaper one to the other ones, then that you could look at that as something that has a little bit more upside to catch up to them. You could also see how they're ranked. You know, who's the leader in that, and how are these ranked compared to those? Because if they're lower down where they stand to get a smaller market share, that's something that could also affect the way that they're trading and just how richly they trade. Torchlight settled again. It was up around 70% up. Now it's back down to about 50% up. Still huge for anybody who happened to buy into that. Let's take a look and see what's losing right now. Our friend Doge. This one looks somewhat like what we have for Ethereum and Bitcoin. Now we have different sorts of popularity ramp up in these early parts of this, and then selling off from there. And you know, there's some pretty big bears on Dogecoin to watch out for. They can certainly push that price down. So depending on your position when you look at it, I think that this is going to follow momentum. So when you have reason to suspect that Dogecoin is going to smash into popularity again, it's going to have good price action. And it'll fade off in price as that popularity fades. And then especially if we get bear cases coming out that just, you know, call it worthless, and then it's just a meme coin, and you know, it was only meant to be a joke in the first place, and it really is a joke when you hear people saying that, especially influential names, then those are things that can really push down the price. It is reacting a little bit more strongly than the other cryptocurrencies that we have. Orf did not have a good time last week. I think that the FDA did not give them approval, and now they're still looking for approval in Europe. Let's see what else we got moving here. All right. Ooh, there's one to check out. First time watcher, thanks for the content. Hey, no time, Polly, I'm glad that you're here. There we go. So skills, look at that slow build that we have. This is absolutely something that I want to see for skills as we go forward. They're going to be very susceptible price-wise to whatever popularity we get from the games that they have on their platform and from the platform improvements that they make over time. The better that we get into like real time and action and just really high engagement with playing the games themselves, I think that we're going to see a lot of good things. Really, I think that there's a lot of people holding their breath on what we hear from the NFL. If that is a big success with that deal and the games that come out, and it brings in a lot of money, and it's highly popular with the people who like to play the skill-based games and be able to win cash prizes, actual cash prizes through skills, then we're going to see that move forward. Look at the resistance that we're getting right along the 200-day SMA that we have here. It's incredible just to watch it keep on hitting that and failing to break resistance as we go forward. But what I was saying about liking to see, so we have this bottom, we almost tagged it with that little candle right there, but we have this smooth uptrend working out in our favor for anybody who's bullish on skills. Kind of get a little overexcited about it and then cool down a little. More excitement, overexcited, cool down a little, and now we're kind of back to that like slow recovery that we have. And I would much rather see the slow and steady growth that we would have, with little hype up, little hype down. Because when we have really big movements, it can really influence our emotions into euphoria, where we just want to buy more, and it can really discourage us when we see big dips where we just want to get rid of it and wish we never bought it. And that's definitely what we saw, watching it go from $46 per share all the way down to $12 per share. Hopefully some of you, if you are bullish on it, you saw that as a buying opportunity and did your dollar cost averaging over time to bring down your cost basis. But it's actually a pretty decent looking chart compared to some of the other ones that we've seen. Hey, thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate it. And no problem, Marshall, anytime. Just so you guys know, I'm going to wrap things up in the next like 5 minutes or so. So if there's a company that you want to make sure that I talk about before you go ahead and bring that up. In the meantime, I'm just going to go through some of the other ones that I really enjoy looking at and following. ChargePoint, by the way, is definitely one of those. I like one thing that I like about this chart is looking at the support that we see right around that $19 mark. That's something that I don't know that we'll retest anytime soon. Really, it'd be overall, like it'd be macroeconomic for what we'd be looking for. And I think that would be something that would affect all EV charging or all EVs, all renewables, something in that sphere in order to cause us to drop back down. And we'd be dropping down hard. We've had a lot of buildup since, like that May 13th is the date that I keep on talking about, because that's about where we found bottom. And you can see ChargePoint just trying to like bring things back to life, trying to get going. And finally, we broke over this high, and it looks like we're falling. And we finally broke that one too. Where does that put us? Right about there. Yeah. So no gap left unfilled as we go forward with ChargePoint. And it's nice to finally see it trading back up in the $30 range again. So if anybody bought in down at these $19 ranges that we have down here, I mean, that's incredible, like 50% up from where you were at just by buying in and believing in the company. Even if you played it as like a swing trade and you already cashed out, I mean, you have a fairly good position. Let's take a look intraday. American Lithium. All right, Angelito, I'll check it out in just a moment. There we go. What a beautiful chart. The positions that I take on companies are long positions. The only time that I take short positions at all would be day trades, where I'm trying to take advantage of something that would happen to be dropping just within the day. I don't really bet against companies. I really go more with the price action that we're seeing. And so to see this build that we have here, looking for those success stories in the EV space that we have, in this case, EV charging, absolutely wonderful. Look at what we have with the 30-minute periods that we have coming down and just acting as a fairly decent support for us. Besides that, we have this wick right at the open, and that could be a matter of just too much selling right off the bat and then quickly ripping back up. We don't know, just from looking at the candle, how much was actually sold at those prices. That could have just been a quick, real fast drop just to shake people out of the trade before coming right back in. And that's something that for people who set stop losses and stuff, especially if you try to trade the open, which is kind of a really tough time to trade. Usually like 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. is like a time where you might get more predictable action going on, sort of that golden hour, if you will, when you look at trading. We'll see if this support holds. We're on the 5-minute chart. And right now, what do we got? We got like 2 minutes left before this candle closes, maybe a little bit less than 2 minutes. So if the body of the candle closes back up at or above this 50-period moving average that we have, then we can still see it acting as support. If this even just barely, if the body of the candle closes below it, then we can still call it support, and we'll see how the next candle plays out after that. If it's just the wick, that's not too much. If we get a large portion of the candle closing below that, then we know that support is truly broken in that 50-period average. Thank you very much, Angelito. I appreciate the support. All right, American Lithium. There we go. All right, so let's go to the daily chart because the volumes are pretty low on this for trading in a 30-minute window. Wow, look at that. So they were trading. Let me zoom into that a little bit so we can see. There we go. Okay, so just a couple pennies worth is what they were trading at. And just huge igniting volume right around January, all the way up to $1.75. Holy cow. I really hope that this was life-changing for somebody. I don't bet in ways that I'm going to have a single day that's going to change the life for me and my family. It's absolutely wonderful to dream of, but more often than not, for every success story that you hear, there's hundreds or even thousands, possibly even millions of people who, I'd say hundreds of thousands, that was not the same story, that instead that money's just gone. And, you know, we do all right now. I wouldn't call it complete financial freedom, but we get to enjoy life pretty well. So when we look at this, I hope that this was life-changing for at least one person. And on the downside risk side of things, I hope that that people are protecting themselves and really making sure to trade in really balanced, level-headed ways when you look at this. We're getting decent support right at about 31 cents when we look at this one. And right now it's trading at about 32 cents. And we do have that sort of tapering, so this would be kind of getting into a consolidation phase. And hopefully, depending on the outlook of this, that there will be a nice accumulation phase that comes along. If we see it trade sideways for a while, I don't think there's any harm in trading sideways. The trading volumes that we have on this are in the thousands to hundreds of thousands versus back here where we had a possible short squeeze going up to 8 million shares per day. Do we even have any analysts covering this? No, not for something this small. Yeah, so maybe take a look for American Lithium if what they're in is lithium battery production or something like that. Does it tell us in the company profile? Exploration stage company. Okay, so something that I want to mention for a company like this, something we want to watch out for is actual substance and progress. So there was a place called, or a security called Black Stallion Oil and Gas. I don't even know if they still exist anymore, but that's one that I got caught up in years ago as a complete pump and dump that I actually bought in early. It was for just a small portion. It wasn't a lot of money, but I bought in early, watched it skyrocket, and I was like, "Hey, this is really promising." And then I realized after it sold off that the price was never coming back, and then all of the volume went out of it and everything. So be careful when you look at these that you're reading up about a company that has actual substance. That when you look at explorations and stuff that they have here, and I don't know anything about this company. I'm just talking from experience and also seeing other companies like this, that you want to make sure that they actually are producing, not just exploring, looking like, hey, we bought this property and we hope that there's something here. And it really can look to see where they're based out of. You know, is it just an office building, or, you know, do they actually have employees? And we can even take a look at the website. Yeah, so I would read through their website and I would look to see where they're based out of. This Canada number that we have here. Looks like they also have a number coming out of Arizona. So I would do some deep research to see what they have to say. Steve says, okay. I just want to look at some of these. Oh, we got a lot of stuff. Holy cow. The old Mary guy looks kind of tired this morning. Steve, it has been just it's been a wonderful but super exhausting. I didn't get to bed until after midnight, and I apologize if I look tired. It's because I am. It's been incredible, but it's also been super tiring. That's for sure. My left hand's a little bit heavier than it was on Friday. Let me see. Let me close that out. Go back over here. So yeah, just make sure that you read up on those. Let me see the Omega Snap-on tools, like it's radar trend. Thank you very much, Marshall. Thanks, Polly. Snap-on tools. PJ, let's take a look at Snap-on tools. Can you do me a favor? Just actually, I can see the profile here. Snap-on Incorporated manufacturer. Yeah, this should be the right one. Oh yeah, wow. I don't know the reason for the sell-off. This is the first, honestly, I've ever looked at Snap-on tools ever. If you look across the bottom of this thing, let me if I can get my drawing tools on here. You definitely want to know what's going on with the company and read why it had this sort of sell-off that it did. But I mean, we're hitting right around that trend line that we have there off those different bottoms. I mean, it looks like I could have even come back farther. I don't know if it'll, there we go. Yeah, so we can sort of look at that trend line and think of the trend line as a sort of support for us, and it could come back. That's a lot of days of selling off. We could finally, I agree, like depending on what is going on with the company, we could be at about the end of where that falling knife happens to finally hit the floor and get stuck, you know, before we pick it up again. Analyst estimates, trading a little rich compared to the low analyst estimate of 175, but it is down below the average, about 5% or so. And then it looks like we have a 30% upside to the high, hold, underperform. I don't buy 9 analyst estimates. Okay, so that's 3 people that are buyer strong buy, 5, and then, or I'm sorry, 4 and then 2. Okay, yeah, let's see what they say. Falls on Friday, still outperforms the market. Shows every sign of being modestly overvalued from Guru Focus News. Maintained at neutral by Baird. Price target raised to 239 from 230 by Baird, so they're neutral about it, but they said the price is going to go up. Zacks calls it top ranks growth stocks for June 17th. New strong buy stocks still coming out of Zacks. Look to go long and snap, breakout key level. Yeah, from the street. So honestly, I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. This is no advice. I'd never say buy or sell, but I would definitely say take a look. I mean, I can say that honestly, I'm interested to take a look. It does look like they have a really decent time. This looks like February, March back, and here it is. Significantly ramped up since then. And, you know, this could honestly be the fact that it was just overbought for a while when we look at that. And then the price finally corrected before it returns back to its course. That's a story that we could most definitely watch play out over time. When you look at its recent price action, look at the RSI and look at the MACD. So we have oversold according to the RSI on the daily chart. And then down here in the MACD, we haven't gotten to where the MACD crosses the signal line. But it does look like it might turn around. That could be a false signal for us, but even take a look at that inverted hammer that we have here. Or you might even argue that that might even be more of a narrow range doji, but we could be turning around there. Just one other thing. Let's go to the indicators. I like the Bollinger Bands. Oh my goodness. Look at that. The entire candle on Friday for trading was down outside 2 standard deviations below the mean. And then after that happened, like for me, like this whole time when you look at this, let's zoom out a little bit there, too far, overzealous. I mean, look at it just tracking along, and then finally that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and then finally come back in, and that could trade back in towards the mean. Let's put the moving averages on it. Take the Bollinger Bands off, that's too much noise. And let's also get rid of our drawing. There we go. So the 200-day, still very nicely sloped, I believe. And then it looks like we have a high point here in the 50-day. So depending on what happens from here, again, read more about the company, find out what's going on, you know, and it sounds like the analysts are saying that there's still a decent outlook and it still has upside to it running from here. Baird came out like with 239, I think was the price target. That's about 5% up from where it's at right now. Not a huge gain, but you might also want to take a look at the beta on this. Honestly, it doesn't look. Actually looks a lot like the indices. The this could be a very low beta stock for us as well. All right, I want to get to some of the others that people mentioned. Somebody said ABML needs to get their plant built. I've been saying that for a while now, especially with this big sell-off and the bear cases and stuff. If we're going to see legitimacy come through for American Batteries Technology Corporation, I believe is what they're switching their name to, that it's not going to be ABML anymore after a while. And I think that they applied for NASDAQ uplisting. So that's something you might want to take a look at. Mind you, ALPP also applied for NASDAQ uplisting like at least a dozen weeks ago, at least 12 weeks ago, and they still don't have that uplisting. So we'll take a look at that one too. I'm going over time here, but that's okay. So the bottom that we have on this right at about $2.10 or so, holding on to that support. And for something as volatile as ABML, that's not a bad thing. Now look at the formation that we have, the nice little flag formation going on. Same thing here. We could get another breakout out of this under the right circumstances. And it could also fall back down to what we have for this 50-period moving average, and find support there as well. It's such a risky play. It's definitely a high risk, high reward scenario. If they build their plan, if they're able to get a very efficient process down for the lithium recycling, for the battery recycling, and show how just environmentally friendly they are, and if they're able to scale it up to a point where they have a really decent margin in their field, and establish themselves as leaders. A lot of ifs that go on with it, and that's that razor's edge that it could fall to either side when you look at it. So I have a sort of small position in ABML, bullish on ABML, but I understand the risk that I'm undertaking, that if that plant doesn't get built for some reason, or if they talk about delays for it, I mean, that's going to cause it to come ripping right back down. Let's check out the news real quick. It's either an upgrade or a downgrade according to Bazinga. Check that out, DJ American. So from the Dow Jones, $3.50 per share by Alliance Global Partners. Cool. So they must be an upgrade then. Nice. Top mining stocks for Q3 2021. They got a mention in Investopedia. That was 5 days ago. Awesome. Yeah, so the more that they can prove that they're a legitimate company and that they have a legitimate process for recycling batteries, and it's going to be really competitive in battery recycling, this could be a really awesome play. We could see it being traded really cheap right now, not compared to what we had back here when it was less than a dime, less than 10 cents. So some of that value is gone, but I think it's still, if we hit all those things that we need to hit for battery recycling, they could be huge going forward, and that's why they're such a popular company. Just a really tiny look at Alpine 4. They've taken it on the chin with some of their news, but they've also had a lot of great strides. And like I said, we're waiting on that NASDAQ uplisting, which I've mentioned in one of my previous videos. I was talking a lot about what it would take for them to be uplisted to the NASDAQ. And I believe that should they be approved for uplisting to the NASDAQ, they have to pay like $25 million in order for that to take place. And I think that's part of keeping companies away, that like keeping integrity or quality stocks or securities within the NASDAQ by putting that price tag there. And it also keeps down the number of applications that they would receive. It also has to trade for a minimum stock price. I think it's $4, but then there's a variance for stocks that trade between like $2 and $3, for example, or $2 to $4. It's been a while since I looked at the requirements, but there's still candidates for moving into that territory. We just, for whatever reason, it's taken the NASDAQ a long time to process that application, and we're really waiting for that news to come out. In the meantime, we're stuck around support at about $3.16. All right, I'm going to read a couple more of what people have here. 92% institutional ownership for Snap-on. That's excellent. That can give it, no wonder it doesn't have the same volatility that other stocks do. Institutional ownership can be a sign for low beta stocks. Thank you, Angelito. Gnog. I apologize if I miss anybody in the comments for the stocks that you want to see. I do try to make sure that I get everybody's. And then we also have SRNG merging with Ginkgo Bioworks. All right, so GNOG is having a rough go of it recently. There are bear cases against it. It is one of the smaller gambling plays or online gambling plays that we have. I'll have to take a look at the news for it in just a moment. The price target on this, I think the low one is like $20, and right now it's trading at like 12. So that's a 66-ish% upside from where it's currently at. We have the 200-day simple moving average that we have here has turned to a negative slope, and that goes along with that that sell-off that we have. So we could be entering more bearish territory. We want to see that support hold in the low 12s. As long as it holds there, we're in good shape. If it does break that, I mean, you guys can see that all the way down to $10.10. That's astounding, because back before the SPAC deal, I mean, you can see what sort of prices it traded at. There we go. That's a while ago. There we go. So Golden Nugget, it is one of the smaller plays. DraftKings is sort of one of the competitors, although Golden Nugget come out and they said, we don't expect the same market share that you get from some of the bigger players, but they do expect to have a decent time with Michigan has been going well. Pennsylvania, we're waiting for news on. We may have gotten news on Pennsylvania because I haven't looked recently, and maybe it was bad news. Let's go to the news. DraftKings, which betting stock could yield higher returns? DraftKings is just big. Like, and as far as long-term investments goes, I have positions in both companies, DraftKings and Golden Nugget. I don't know that they're directly comparable. You know, it comes out of TipRanks, and I'm this close to getting a subscription to TipRanks because I really do enjoy them and I use them a lot. And I would really rather to have their full functionality. So I'll probably pull that trigger sooner than later. I'm careful about how much I subscribe to because I already subscribe to a lot, but TipRanks seems to bring in that utility, so I might look and see what else I'm subscribed to and maybe dump off some of the ones that I don't use as much anymore. Okay, I believe I read this one coming out of Bazinga, or Benzinga. I always say that wrong. But yes, still positive news for Golden Nugget when you read that one. And this would be interesting to see which one they say could yield the higher returns when we look at them. I could easily see Golden Nugget, given its depressed price, outperforming DraftKings percentage-wise, growth-wise from its current price. DraftKings already enjoying some of that growth, still has a significant amount ahead of it. So 1265, low analyst estimate 20 up to $28. So like 60-ish% upside to the low estimate that we have, and 2xing, more than 2xing by getting up to that high analyst estimate. And we're just below 2x by getting to that average of the 3 analysts that we have right here. It's all about market penetration. Don't expect it to be huge because they don't expect it to be huge. We just need state legalization, and we need positive results in those states. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Michigan are the 3 big ones. New York, Illinois, I believe Indiana might also be in there. When you look at those states, look for news for those states, for the progress for GNOG, and that should tell you a lot more about the health of Golden Nugget Online Gaming as they continue to grow. So I don't see the recent news pushing this one. Sometimes you can go to more popular sites. Twitter is a great place, I think, for the people who like to do $GNOG. Type that in. You can find people who will scrub and dig because they have so much riding on one single stock that they will dig up any piece of evidence that they can find one way or another. You're going to have to weed through the trash and kind of pick through the noise that's on Twitter. But you can still find things that once you see something that looks legit, you can look into it, do your own research, and find out if there really is substance to what they're saying. I drew this trend line a while ago that you can see here, and we have broken up above it, but it looks like we could possibly return back down to it, depending on what it looks like, if this support should happen to break. Let me see what else is being said here. Just to make sure I got them all, because I do, SRNG was the other one. Morning Eagle acquisition. All right. What am I looking at here? Okay, so 1089 down to 991. Let's see Mark Cuban banked. Okay, there's what you were saying about Ginkgo Bioworks. Excellent. All right, so I don't know anything about Ginkgo Bioworks, but that would be something to read up on and see if it really does warrant the valuation that they have. Buyers 120 million. All right, so we're not going to see any analyst estimates or anything like this. I can tell you with its current price, a significant amount of the risk has come out of it because we're currently trading down below that $10 mark. So as far as downside risk, there's not a lot. Really, will that partnership fall through? If it does, I mean, then they can start working on a new partnership and work on a different acquisition target, and that could work out for them. But in the short-term thing of things, that when we're looking at downside risk, there's not a lot. We're not going to see much below this 985 mark, for example. So buying in here, while you're limiting your downside, we also don't know what side of upside we're going to get without knowing more about Ginkgo Bioworks. So that would be something to read, what sort of valuation you're looking at for the company, and what that means for the SPAC deal, for how much it could trade for going forward from here. All right, I just want to take a quick look at our friend Ethereum. If well, it looks like it's trying to break back into 2,000. Look at that, $1,992. So we're getting close to that $2,000 mark. If we go above it, we're in good shape. We could stand to stay above it. Let's look on a smaller time frame. Avenger, yes, Avenger. All right, so 30-minute chart. Look at that support that we have down at the bottom of the chart here, 1925-ish down to. If I can get my cursor to cooperate here. I just had to ballpark it. Actually, I can look at the low there, 1914, 1927. All right. So we could be hitting a fair amount of resistance up here, like I said, right around the $2,000 mark. So that could be the resistance that we hit, and we could continue to keep selling off of that. If we don't drop back down below these lows, we could see consolidation sideways, trade sideways for a little bit. Or we could start to see it come down just a little bit, maybe as much as a 50% retracement before turning back around again and turning into a new high. We're just gonna have to watch that play out. And like I said, I don't think that we've hit peak fear yet when we look at the crypto market. So the crypto market down today, it's recently been in that downtrend, and it's a waiting game for anybody who's bullish on crypto in general for it to go back up. And early in this video, I showed the spark lines on CoinMarketCap. And pretty much besides the stable coins, they all look the same. So it's a market-wide sell-off. When you look at this over the past 7 days, you're just going to see a lot of similarities in their charts, and that means nothing company-specific. So if you see really super positive company-specific news coming out about the different cryptocurrencies, then when some of this pressure comes off, that can be, add to more upside pressure going forward. The negative news could definitely be amplified. All right, Avenger, and then I'm signing off, guys. So thank you very much for attending, and hit the like button if you like this. Subscribe to it. I'll be back again tomorrow for another live stream for the market open, and I'll continue to put out videos as I find different news coming along. And there you go. Close the Avenger. All right, so Avenger does catheters for atherectomies, and they're one that actually use ultrasound technology to see inside the blood vessels to help clear out the blockages that would be there. And it also pretty much gets rid of any sort of radiation that would be part of that treatment almost entirely. So they get a three-dimensional inside view going inside the arteries, and they also do directional atherectomies. So whenever there's like bends and turns, they actually have at the distal tip, they can have little controls that they can make it snake around and really take out some of the, I believe it's called atheroma, the buildup inside the blood vessels. When you're looking at it, they are trying to take on Boston Scientific as the market leader. So that's really cracking into that market is what they're looking for. So market penetration and being able to distribute their product. Those are things that they really need to, or I should call it supply chain. So as they can really push through their supply chain, as they can develop that supply chain, they stand better shot at increasing the market share. And they do have a fair amount of competition ahead of them. So if they can prove themselves superior through more publications and through their expansion in their supply chain, then I think that we could see more market adoption. They have sort of kept an uptrend recently from this bottom that they had. There's that May 13th again being about the bottom. So for this one, the low was 88 cents. And today's low, going right along with a nice little linear trend across the bottom, $1.07. For me, my cost basis on this is, I think, $1.43. So I'm still down significantly from where it was this was at. Smaller position because it is a penny stock. The 200-day still positive. We have the 50-day coming down and threatening to cross over. And actually, it looks like our prices are pretty much following what that 50-day has for us. So that could be a fairly good indicator of resistance. And it looks like the 200-day right now could be sort of our support. And let's take a look at the news. What hedge funds think about Avenger. So this could talk about how much big money is within Avenger. That would certainly be something to take a look at. 10% owned by institutions, so it's bound to be fairly volatile because we don't have a ton of institutional ownership when you look at this. Vanguard has almost a 4% stake in it. BlackRock has about a 2%. Perkins. So these are companies that are looking for that big boost in their prices that could help balance things out going forward. I think this tracks on the NASDAQ. So the Vanguard having their ETFs that track the NASDAQ also would include some of that exposure when we look for it. Analyst estimates, there's exactly one who says buy this thing, $2.50, and that's months old by this point in time. I should talk about some of the other things that they're doing. So right now, they treat peripheral artery disease, and they have FDA approval for peripheral artery disease. So they go down through blood vessels in the legs for the most part to get the blockages out of there and restore circulation. They are working on getting approval to use those tools. I believe it's a repurposing approval through the FDA to treat coronary artery disease using the same tools that they have. So their light box for visualizing inside the blood vessels and also getting their catheters through those blood vessels. So we'll see. That is a bigger total addressable market when you look at what they have for a bigger market opportunity, maybe I should say, when it comes to treating coronary artery disease than what it is for peripheral artery disease. So that could be something that could really help the adoption for Avenger and also add to their top line and their bottom line as they grow as a company. Thank you, Steve. I'm feeling more rested every day. Yesterday would not have been a great day to return. I don't think that like trying to get everything packed away from the wedding and transport and everything. I don't think we made it to bed until after midnight. So I'm back and I'm gonna try and make it an early bedtime tonight. Thank you all for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you return tomorrow for the pre-market and check out my videos as they come out. And if there's stocks that you want to see that I didn't get a chance to mention, just put them in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can about them. Thank you all.